Hey everyone, today on Step Into History, you're about to watch our breakup story in Paris. It all happens in one day.
If you enjoyed this journey, like the video, subscribe to Step Into History, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next city.
In 1685, Paris. One day can ruin your entire life. You wake up hungry, not just today, but for days now. And somehow, you still believe today will fix everything. There was a rule you once lived by: never give up. But Paris has other plans. Her scent, jasmine, soft, warm, almost like hope. You promised you would take her away from all of this. Do you remember? Every time you try, something takes it away. Luck left you a long time ago. But love, you still thought love had a chance. Now the city watches as everything slips through your hands. Time is running out, and that world behind the glass, the light, the warmth, it's getting further away every second. By the end of this day, you will have nothing left. 24 hours in Paris, the scent of despair. Paris, 6:12 a.m. You wake up, the room is freezing. A damp stain spreads across the ceiling, slowly swallowing the space. Pale blue light slips through the window, hitting an empty glass on the table. Once it held wine, now it holds nothing but dust and silence. That metallic taste in your mouth, it's hunger, the kind that doesn't go away. You sit up slowly, the wooden floor creaks under your feet. You move toward an old chest in the corner, the lock rusted. It opens with a sharp, metallic sound. Inside, there's only one thing left: a piece of silk, your family crest stitched in gold. Once, you carried it into royal halls. Now, you use it to clean your mud-stained shoes, the last piece of your pride. You bend down, your hands trembling as you press the silk against the dirty leather. With every movement, another memory fades into the dirt. This is your final preparation. You put it back in your pocket, your fingers holding on to the fabric for just a moment longer. You push the heavy door open. The cold Paris morning hits your face like a slap. The streets are wet, the air sharp. A carriage rushes past you, splashing mud onto your shoes. You look up. The distant towers still feel out of reach. Your feet sink deeper with every step. But today, you're going back to that shop. You're going to see her one more time. Every time you try to stand tall, Paris drags you back into the mud. Julian walks toward the window of the luxury perfume shop. Inside, it's a different world. Crystal bottles, velvet fabrics, and Elise. Elise stands there, bathed in warm light, looking pure, almost unreachable, like a statue. There's only a thin layer of glass between them, but to him, it feels like a wall stretching for miles. He stands outside, in dirt and shadow, while she stands inside, surrounded by scent and elegance. Julian reaches into his pocket and pulls out the small note he wrote earlier that morning. Everything is in that piece of paper: the plan, the escape, the future. Just 1 second, that's all it takes. She only needs to see him. As he reaches out, the silence breaks. Hooves, wheels, speed. A large carriage tears past him like a storm. Mud explodes across the street. Cold, dark Paris mud hitting his face, his coat, and the paper in his hand. The note is ruined. The words are gone, drowned in mud. Elise looks from behind the glass, confused, searching, but Julian can't lift his head anymore. He just stares at the soaked, ruined paper, feeling what's been taken from him once again. Dreams, crushed beneath the wheels of a passing carriage. Every time he reaches for her, the world moves out of reach. Paris, 5:30 p.m. For a brief moment, the world turns to gold. The sunset transforms even the filthiest streets of Paris into the halls of a grand palace. As the orange light flickers across the river, everything feels as peaceful as a dream. The air carries the scent of fresh bread from a nearby bakery, the scent of life, of warmth, of those impossible, normal days. They sit together by the Seine, under the shadow of the weeping willows. Elise takes his hand. The warmth of her skin makes him forget the bone-chilling cold of the morning. Under this golden light, the mud stains on Julien's coat look like the shadows of expensive silk. The truth manages to stay hidden in this glow. They lie to each other. "We'll leave," Julien says. "Far from this city, far from this hunger." Elise rests her head on his shoulder. "Everything will be fine," she whispers.
Hello again. If you've made it this far, subscribe to my channel, Step into History. It really helps me. Now, let's continue.
But they both know this isn't a plan. It's the last sanctuary before a final goodbye. The more beautiful the light, the sweeter the lie feels. They want to close their eyes and keep this scent, this touch, forever. But the sun is sinking fast. As the orange light slowly gives way to purple shadows, they feel time slipping through their fingers like sand. This peace is the quietest moment before the storm. Every time they dream of a new dawn, the sun sets on their hope. Paris, 9:45 p.m. The gold in the sky has turned into a bruised orange. Shadows stretch between the buildings like claws. As Julien steps out of the pawnbroker's, his fingers feel empty. The ring is gone. The last link to his ancestors, sold for a handful of coins. But the weight in his pocket is the most precious thing he's ever felt. He walks fast. His heart beats to the rhythm of the coins. "I did it," he thinks. "I'm taking Elise away tonight." The moment he turns the corner, a sound tears through the night. Heavy boots and the clank of iron armor on stone. The royal guard. He has to run, not because he's a criminal, but because he has to protect the dreams in his pocket. He dives into a dark alley. His feet tangle. He loses his balance on the wet stones and hits the ground hard. In that moment, everything freezes. A sharp, thin, metallic sound echoes through the street. Tink, tink, and then that final sound, drowned in a puddle. Julien is on his knees. He claws at the mud in the darkness. He doesn't even feel the cold filth under his fingernails. He's just searching for those coins. He touches the cold stones, the dirty water, but they're gone. Paris has swallowed the last chance it gave him in a matter of seconds. His hands, covered in mud, remain empty. He has no strength left to stand. The dark alley, with its long shadows, begins to suffocate him. Bad luck won't let Julien go. It buries him deepest, right when he hoped the most. Every time he finds a way, the shadows steal it back. Paris, 11:58 p.m. The stones of the Pont Neuf bridge felt as though they had absorbed all the cold of Paris. Below, the Seine roared like a dark, restless giant. Julien gripped Elise's trembling hands, but it wasn't for comfort. It was for a final goodbye. Extinguishing the last flicker of light in his eyes, he shoved her away, pushing her back into the devouring darkness. The shock on Elise's face quickly shattered into pure heartbreak. She said nothing. There were no words left. As her sobs were swallowed by the wind, she turned and walked away, her footsteps echoing against the cold stone until they vanished into the void. Julien stood frozen, as if he had just cast the last piece of his soul into the river. Once Elise's silhouette had completely dissolved into the shadows, Julien reached into the inner pocket of his coat. He pulled out the small, scented piece of lace she had given him days ago. That lace was the only clean, noble thing left between his mud-stained hands. Julian pressed the fabric against his face and shut his eyes tight. He inhaled the scent one last time, a breath so deep and desperate it made his chest ache, as if he were trying to trap her memory in his lungs and freeze it there forever. It was the scent of everything he had lost, of the life he could never truly claim. Slowly, he extended his hand over the edge of the bridge. He uncurled his fingers one by one. The white lace caught the wind for a heartbeat, fluttering as if refusing to let go, before yielding to gravity and descending in slow motion into the abyssal black of the Seine. The moment it touched the water, the last trace of grace in Julian's life disappeared. Without even glancing at his empty hand, Julian whispered toward the distant, cold lights of the city. In Paris, love is a perfume. It smells like heaven, but it evaporates in a day. Thank you for joining Step into History. For a brief moment, you stepped into a world that once was. A city of salt, pitch, and iron-willed people who helped shape the world we live in today. These stories are more than just the past. They are echoes of how we lived, how we struggled, and how we finally broke our chains. If you want to keep exploring lost civilizations and the turning points of time, subscribe and join the journey. Where should we travel next? Until we meet again in the depths of history.